Many of us know this story. It's one of my favorite stories in the Bible because I can see myself in it. And look, you could do 1,000 sermons on how deep this one story is. It's the story of the prodigal son. And I think it'd be cool. You could do it from different perspectives if you wanted to do a sermon on it. You could do it from the perspective of the father and how it broke his heart that his son asked for his inheritance so he could go out in the world and live any way he wanted, and he squandered it. You could do it from the prodigal's point of view, if any of you have ever been through anything in this life and come back to the Lord. That's what I'm trying to get today. Come back to the temple. You're welcome here. Jesus wants you here. You could do it from the perspective of the older brother that was living holy. I've been in those camps. Look at that person at the altar. They just don't get it, do they, God? God's like, you don't get it. And the father looks at the older brother and is like, listen, you've always been good with me. Everything I have is yours. We should be excited that your brother who was lost came back home. So when I'm reading this story, God put this story on my heart because we know that the prodigal asks for his inheritance. He takes it. He goes out in the world. He lives any way he wants, and he squanders it. And he gets so bad that he's living in such a place. I mean, he's eating with the pigs, and it's bad. He's at a bad place in life. And imagine how broken he had to be to get to a place where he said, you know what? It's better to go back home and grovel and ask my father, who was probably going to be very angry with me, to forgive me than to stay here and die or live this horrible life. So he gets up and he starts walking. He starts walking miles and miles, and I can just imagine the conversations that he is having with himself. Can you imagine? You ever gone through conversations in your head that were going to be really uncomfortable when you had them with the person? You know, I have those thoughts all the time when someone gets mad at me and I go home and I'm in the shower and I'm like, I should have said, and I should have done, and I should have been. And I was like, no, I'd never do that. I'm not brave enough. And so I can't imagine the miles and miles that he's walking. And he's going over in his head, what am I going to say? Do I promise my father that I'll pay it back? I'll be a slave for years. I'm sorry that I betrayed you. And in this moment, what is incredible is he walks miles and miles. I don't know if you guys have ever had to grovel or ask someone's forgiveness. It's very humbling. Humans, we don't like that. So he's walking and he's going over these scenarios in his head. You ever you're going to your parents and you know they're going to be mad. So he's going, and the most incredible thing happens in this story. He gets a far distance from his father's house, and he sees this figure running at him full speed. And the figure, I like to imagine they hugged and they cried, and he's about to say, Father, I'm sorry, please don't be mad. And his father, I can just see his father shushing him. It says, you're home. That's all that matters because I love you. I have missed you. I have prayed countless hours for you. It's one of the most powerful stories in the Bible. God, I'm sorry about last night. Shh. Come back to the temple. Come back to where you belong. Come back to your walk with me. You and I used to be like this. You would lead Bible studies. You'd do all these things. I know you went through that hurt. I know the church might have hurt you. Come back to the temple. But God, I got prayed for and nothing happened. Come back. What I believe God sent me here for today is there's people in this room, you're hurting. You don't think you deserve to be at church every Sunday. Or life is so chaotic or busy that you can't be here every Sunday. Or you don't want to get plugged into the small groups because, well, that's for the friends. That's the perfect club. This church, this ministry, this temple is not a club. It's a healing center for people that are hurting. And what I love about this story is that is how God sees you. This is perfect symbolism. His son gets to the place, he finally breaks those chains off and says, I will go back to the temple where God is. And God welcomes him with open arms. God, I'm sorry, shh. You are loved, you are accepted. Now keep coming and following me so that I can set you free.